Why doesn't a ship sink even though it's made of metal? Go to your kitchen right now, stand in front of the sink, and put the stopper over the drain to keep water from leaking out. Turn on the faucet and fill the sink all the way up. Then take a metal plate from your kitchen and place it on the water surface. Here's the fun part. You'll see that the plate floats on the water even though it's metal. Now take the plate out of the water, flip it over, and place it back on the water surface upside down. You'll discover that the plate sinks to the bottom of the sink. Just by changing how it's positioned relative to the water, the plate goes down instead of floating. Let me tell you, what you just did playing around in the water is actually a scientific demonstration of the buoyancy principles that ships rely on. And of course, now that you've completed this amazing experiment and had some fun splashing around, all you need to do is run out of the kitchen before mom catches you and makes your life miserable. Who among us hasn't heard of Archimedes, the Greek physicist, and his famous story with the king of Syracuse? The story goes that a goldsmith presented the king with a gold crown that the king had ordered. But when the king received the crown, he became suspicious and felt something wasn't quite right about it. Is this goldsmith trying to pull one over on me? He wondered. Do you think he's trying to cheat me? Well, what should we do? What should we do? I've got it. Bring the Archimedes. When Archimedes arrived, he said to him, Listen, my boy, you're a scientist, aren't you? And you can figure out just about anything? The scientist replied, Yes, your majesty, I am a scientist. The king said, Good. Now you're going to take this crown and figure out if it's counterfeit or not. Did the goldsmith mix copper into it or not? But you need to do this without damaging or breaking it. The scientist echoed, Without damaging or breaking it? The king confirmed, Yes, without damaging or breaking it. Anyway, Archimedes left the king's presence, sweating and quite overwhelmed by the unusual task he was given, unsure if he could accomplish it. What's with all this sweat? I need a bath. So Archimedes went to take a bath, and while he was relaxing in the water, he noticed something curious. What's happening here? Every time I sink deeper into the water level rises, and there's also this upward force pushing my body up. That's when it hit him. Wait a minute. I think I found the solution the king is looking for. When an object is submerged in water, it displaces a certain amount of liquid. The weight of this displaced liquid equals the weight of the submerged part of the object. I know what to do. I'll place the crown in water and see how much water it displaces. Then I'll weigh that displaced water. Next, I'll take a gold bar with the same weight as the crown, put it in water too, and measure how much water it displaces. This way, I can compare the two measurements, and I'll compare the two weights. If they turn out to be equal, then the crown is made of pure gold, and this man has been wrongly accused. But if they're not equal, then this man is a cheat who added copper to the gold. All right, let's figure this out. We'll take a container of water, place the crown in it, and measure the water's weight. Then we'll take a genuine gold bar, put it in the water, and measure again. Oh my, Your Majesty, I'm afraid you've been tricked. This crown is counterfeit. So what can we take away from the story? First, we learn that lies will eventually be uncovered. Second, we discover Archimedes' famous principle. When an object is fully or partially submerged in fluid, it experiences an upward force equal to the weight of the fluid it displaces. This principle later became the foundation for understanding how ships float on water. There's a common question in scientific circles. Why does a massive ship float while a nail sinks? The answer is actually quite straightforward. According to Archimedes' principle, any object placed in water displaces a specific amount of that water. The key concept here is that for any object to float on water, the amount of water it displaces needs to be greater than the object's own weight. When this condition is met, the object will float freely on the water without any issues. Based on this principle, we can identify 3 different scenarios related to the law of buoyancy. The first case is when the amount of displaced water is greater than the object's weight. This is what makes things float. The second case is when the displaced water is less than the object's weight. In this situation, the object will sink and can't stay on the water's surface. And for the third case, which you've probably already figured out, since it's the only possibility left, it's when the amount of displaced water exactly equals the object. In this case, the body isn't floating on the surface or sinking to the bottom. It's suspended somewhere in between. Think of it this way. If we take a 100 kilogram object and put it in water, and it pushes aside 110 kilograms of water, it'll stay afloat on the surface. But if it only displaces 90 kilograms of water, it'll simply sink to the bottom. And if it displaces exactly 100 kilos, it will remain suspended in the water, neither floating nor sinking. Just a helpful note, 1 kilogram of water equals 1 liter of water, for those who care about measurement units. We still haven't explained exactly why ships float on water, but what we know is that for something to float, it needs to displace an amount of water greater than its own weight. Let's add another helpful piece of information. Objects with larger volumes push aside more water. Now that you have these two key facts, how about we try a fun game? In this game, let's say we have a piece of iron weighing 100 kilos. Naturally, if we toss it into water, it would sink. But what if we change the shape and dimensions of this iron piece? Instead of keeping it as a solid block, what if we transformed it into a large, hollow iron cube, something that looks more like a square gift box with nothing inside? Here's the surprising part. If you throw this hollow iron cube into water, it won't sink. It'll float on the surface. This is despite it being the same iron piece that was solid before and sank when we put it in water. The only difference is that we changed its dimensions, increased its size, and made it hollow. And that's the magical secret that allows any object, regardless of its size, to float on water. By changing its dimensions to reach the maximum possible volume, it can displace the greatest amount of water possible. This is why every ship is built with a specifically designed outer hull, to ensure it displaces the largest amount of water possible, which must be greater than the total weight of the ship. Plus, there's an air cavity created inside the ship that keeps it floating on the water's surface. This cavity itself is capable of keeping the ship afloat because the massive amount of air inside it makes the ship's overall density much lower than water's density. As a result, the ship can float safely. This means that if we take the same amount of iron used to build any ship and reshape it into a solid design without any hollow space inside, the ship would sink instantly, just like a small nail would. Even more surprising, if we take a perfectly normal hollow ship but place it upside down in water with the upper deck facing downward, the ship would still sink. This is similar to that experiment you tried at the beginning of the episode while playing around in the kitchen before getting caught by Mom. The scientific explanation for sinking in this scenario is that you've eliminated the air cavity that provides buoyancy. And there's no flat surface anymore, so the water can't push it upward. This means that in the end, what matters isn't the type of material the ship is made from or whether that material is light or heavy. But the main idea is that we play with the dimensions of the material we'll use, make its size as large as possible, and add an air cavity to it. This way, you can make it to shore and build the ship you've been dreaming of your whole life. Happy to help. And with that, we've completed this episode. I hope you enjoyed it and found it valuable. See you in the next episode with another puzzling question.